When the Legion came to our world, we had to prepare ourselves. For that, the heroes of Azeroth gathered powerful artifacts in order to be strong enough to defeat the Burning Legion. This is the story of one of these powerful weapons. This is the story of Apocalypse. Most stories about the Burning Legion speak of countless demons stampeding over worlds, but the cunning Nethrezim know that brute force is not the only way to conquer an enemy. One lie can break an alliance, one drop of poison can cripple a giant, one disease can reduce a great city to a graveyard. The Nethrezim blade called Apocalypse has accomplished all of these things. It holds the power to spread plagues, incite wars, and turn ally against ally. In the right hands, this weapon has single-handedly brought entire civilizations crashing down before the Legion's armies ever began their invasion. Apocalypse was not crafted by a single Nethrezim. Many of these demons forged and shaped the blade as a tool to hasten the fall of worlds. Over the course of centuries, Apocalypse passed from one Nethrezim to another. Each wielder used it to weaken mortal civilizations and leave them vulnerable to conquest by the Burning Legion. Through the creation of plagues and famines, Apocalypse stoked the fires of paranoia. Through acts of murder and betrayal, the weapon drove the Legion's enemy to turn on each other. Even the mere sight of the blade was enough to sap the strength of mortals and cause them to tremble in fear. Whenever Apocalypse changed hands, its Nethrezim owners would alter and refine it. Through the lessons learned from their conquests, they endued the blade with new plagues and maledictions. In this way, Apocalypse became a fusion of all the dark arts the Nethrezim had at their disposal. The last of the Nethrezim to wield Apocalypse was named Netir. The weapon passed to him during the Burning Legion's invasion of Navail. This world was home to a handful of intelligent races. Though they shared a history of enmity, they put aside their differences and united against the demons. The alliance was tenuous at best, easy prey for Netir and Apocalypse. Netir walked among Nevain's resistance forces, disguised as one of their own soldiers. He whispered rumors of betrayal in every ear, inflaming old hatreds and ancient rivalries. All the while, Apocalypse clouded the defenders' ability to reason. They began to fear each other as much as the Legion. In one night of wanton bloodshed, Nevain's army went to war with itself. Netir admired his handiwork from a distance, listening to the symphony of chaos that filled the night. By sunrise, not a single soldier remained to oppose the Legion. Thousands of years ago, the city of Dalaran was inundated by reckless spellcasters. Their abuse of magic inadvertently tore open rifts in reality. Through one such rift, Netir clawed his way into Azeroth. Netir found Dalaran ripe for upheaval. Many of the city's non-magic users were superstitious, and they viewed spellcasters with thinly veiled unease. Netir used Apocalypse to inflame these fears. He tainted Dalaran's water supplies and food stores. Gruesome plagues ravaged the city, which the common folk believed had originated from the Magi. If not for Guardian Alodai, Dalaran might have destroyed itself. He was part of the Council of Tirisfal, a secret order of Magi formed to protect Azeroth from demons. After a series of cruelling battles, Alodai narrowly defeated Cathernetir and banished him from the world. Though the demon was gone, Apocalypse remained behind. Here is an account of Apocalypse from the journal of Alodai, first guardian of Tirisfal. In the blade's presence, I am physically weakened. Strange thoughts swim through my mind, dark things I will not repeat here. The weapon has a way of dredging up fears long forgotten and giving them new life. And these are just some of its tamer qualities. I have requested that we destroy the weapon, but the other council members have reservations. They would prefer we lock it away alongside other artifacts recovered from demons. It is not the ideal course, but so be it. If this council is to survive, I must do so mutual trust and understanding. My only hope is that it never sees the light of day again. Long after Cathernetir's defeat, Apocalypse resurfaced. It was a time of great turmoil for the Council of Tirisfal. The current guardian, Egwin, had gone rogue. Seeing no other recourse, the council created a new order called the Tirisguard to capture the troublesome guardian. The Tirisguard armed themselves with mighty artifacts to overwhelm Egwin. They soon learned that artifacts alone were not enough to best a guardian of her caliber. Egwin outwitted her hunters time and again. Out of desperation, the council finally unearthed Apocalypse and other closely guarded relics. They distributed this dangerous weapon to the most loyal and gifted Tirisguard members. Apocalypse was entrusted to Laith Shao. From the very moment he held the blade, a darkness bloomed in his mind. It will continue to fester and swell until it consumed him entirely. Apocalypse granted Laith Shao more power than he could have hoped for, but it came at a price. Hatred tainted his thoughts. His wish to see Egwin brought to justice became a wish to see her dead. Laith narrowly missed cornering his prey in the small human village of Corwell. He interrogated the townfolks, accusing them of conspiring with Egwin. Though Corwell's people knew nothing of the Guardian's whereabouts, they succumbed to Apocalypse's influence. Before long, neighbor regarded neighbor with suspicion. Paranoia sunk its poison fangs into the quaint village. In a fit of rage, Laith cut down the town elder. The death ignited a wave of violence. Friends and family turned on each other with bare hands, teeth, and whatever else could serve as a weapon. Only Laith walked out of that village alive. Here's an extract from Chapter 8 of On Plagues, Curses and Blights by royal historian Arcesanus. There is an old period of history during which we see an increase in disease, famine, and violence. The exact cause of these hardships is unknown. One interesting theory associates them with a nameless horseman who carried a sword of sinister origin. In some legends, this figure rode a pale horse, in others, a black mare with eyes aflame. Wherever the horseman passed, trouble followed. Crops withered, diseases festered, innocent folks simply dropped dead. For this reason, the horseman was known by many names: war, death, famine, and pestilence. Did such an individual really exist? I think not. Attributing plagues and such to a physical entity was just a mean for the people of the time to cope with phenomena beyond their control. When Guardian Egwin learned of Laith Shao and Apocalypse, she made a stand to spare the world from the demon-forged blade. Egwin lured Laith into a trap, expecting to make short work of her adversary. She had underestimated Apocalypse's true strength. Leith unleashed the blade on the Guardian, draining her life force. None of Egwene's spell could shield her from Apocalypse's vampiric power. On the verge of collapse, she screamed a desperate incantation that shattered the connection between Leith and the sword. In that moment, the darkness in Leith's mind vanished. He remembered everything he had done while under Apocalypse's influence. All the hurt age, all the vile deeds, all the deaths. Overcome with horror, he dropped Apocalypse where he stood. Then he ran, and he never looked back. From an account of Apocalypse's whereabouts from the Council of Tiresfall, author unknown. It is unclear where Leith shall disappear to, or whether he is still alive. As for Apocalypse, Tiresguard agents have reported that Egwene attempted to destroy the blade and neutralize its power, but she failed to do so. She then took steps to seal the weapon away in a place where no one would find it. There are few prevailing theories about its current resting place. The first is that Egwene buried the sword at the site of her battle with Leith and shrouded it in a veil of magic. The second is that she encased the weapon in an arcane shell and cast it into the fiery heart of Blackrock Mountain. Though it will take time, our agents will uncover the truth and reclaim the blade. Leith Shao never saw Apocalypse again, but in a cruel twist of fate, it would pass to his offspring. After his battle with Guardian Egwene, Leith settled in Stormwind City and started a family. He spent his day helping those in need as a way to atone for his past. His son, Eridan, did not live such an altruistic life. Eridan traveled the lands of Stormwind with a group of dubious merchants. These grifters sold counterfeit elixirs and artifacts, swinging innocent folks out of their personal fortunes. When the merchants tried to sell their wares to Guardian Medivh in Karazhan, their luck changed. Medivh saw straight through their lies. To punish the merchants, the Guardian cursed them to act as his servants. Eridan and his fellow con artists became known as the Dark Riders. From that day forward, they would haunt the land, seeking out lost artifacts and bringing them to Karazhan. One of the artifacts recovered by Eridan was Apocalypse. Eridan knew nothing of Apocalypse's origin or its deadly powers, but due to his father's history with the weapon, he felt an unnatural pull toward it. The need to find Apocalypse burned within Eridan's soul, and he led the Dark Riders on a feverish search to uncover the mysterious artifact. The Dark Riders scoured the land of the Eastern Kingdom before finally discovering the blade in the Badlands. Despite Egwene's efforts to hide Apocalypse, it had somehow surfaced again. Who had abandoned the weapon in this place? Eridan did not know, nor did he care. Eridan held the blade aloft, and the burning need within him finally subsided. In the years to come, he would play for many other artifacts, but no would ever exert the same pull on him as Apocalypse. None would ever feel so strangely familiar.
Si tu as kiffé, alors n'hésite pas à lâcher un like. Et tu peux également t'abonner à ma chaîne, ou alors encore me suivre sur Twitter.